VSEPR theory, that is valence shell electron pair repulsion theory. This theory was developed by Ronald Gillespie and Ronald Nyholm. That's why this theory is otherwise called as Gillespie-Nyholm theory after the name of their developers. In Lewis concept helped us to write the structure of the molecule. But the position of the atoms, the bonding electrons, lone pair of electrons, everything we are able to write with the help of Lewis concept. But we cannot predict the shape of the molecules using Lewis concept. But this theory, VSEPR theory, help us to predict the actual shape of the molecules in 3 dimensions. This theory is based on 3 simple things. The first one is the bonding electron pair, the lone pair of electron or bonding pair of electrons, lone pair of electrons determine the shape of the molecule. This is the first thing. Second one is the shape of the molecule is determined by the repulsive force between the lone pair and the bonding pair. What is lone pair? Lone pair is a pair of electrons which is not involved in bonding. That is, we can say like this. They are those electrons are the excess of electrons. And what are bonding pair? Bonding pair is the electrons which are shared by 2 atoms. Those electrons will be present in the bond. That is why it is called as bonding pair. So there are 2 types of electron pairs. One is lone pair of electrons and the other one is bonding pair of electrons. These 2 pairs of electrons are in a molecule. There is a repulsive force between these bonding pairs. If it is a lone pair, the repulsive force is very high, and if it is a bonding pair, the repulsive force is somewhat less. The repulsive forces may be between lone pair and lone pair, lone pair and bonding pair and a bonding pair. So these repulsive forces determine the shape of the molecule in 3 dimensions or in space. So we should know which repulsive force is greater one. If the repulsive force is greater one, the molecule or the atoms will be located or arranged in such a way to minimize the repulsive force between the pairs of electrons, that is lone pair or bonding pair. Now let us see how can we denote these forces. Lone pair of electrons, lone pair of electrons, it can be simply denoted as LP, lone pair. The electrons which are not involved in bonding are called lone pair of electrons. And bonding pair or bond pair, both are same. Bond pair of electrons, it can be simply denoted as BP. So these 2 types of pairs of electrons are present in a molecule. These pairs of electrons exhibit or gives away some repulsive force, and the repulsive force may be between lone pair and lone pair, or the repulsive force may be between lone pair and bonding pair, or the repulsive force may be between bonding pair and bonding pair. Okay. See, these repulsive forces determine the shape of the molecule. On this basis, we can predict the shape of the molecule. Out of these three repulsive forces, the repulsive force between lone pair and lone pair is far greater than the repulsive force between lone pair and bonding pair, which is in turn greater than the repulsive force between bonding pair and bonding pair. So, what does the molecule do? In the molecule, the atoms will be located in such a way to minimize the repulsive force between these pairs. Lone pair repulsive force is higher because this lone pair of electrons will be on only one atom. This is for only one atom. Lone pair of electrons will be on only one atom. That is why it is called as lone. Lone is single. It is for only one atom. Whereas these electrons are called as bonding pair. Bonding pair of electrons is for two atoms. The bonding pair of electrons will be present in between two atoms. So, that is why it is called bond. Bond is between two atoms. So, those electrons are for two atoms. Right. The order of repulsion is like this. Since the bonding pair of electrons is between two atoms, the repulsive force will be lesser. This bonding pair of electrons repels the nucleus of two atoms, whereas the lone pair of electrons will have a repulsive force on only one atom, because the lone pair of electrons are situated on only one atom. So, it will interact with only one atom, whereas the bonding pair of electrons are present between two atoms. So, the repulsive force will be between two atoms, that is, it will interact with two atoms. That is why it is lesser than this. So, these forces decide where the atom should be, and that decides the shape of the molecule. So, using this VSEPR theory, we can predict the shape of the molecule. So, in determining or in predicting the shape of the molecules, we should always consider the lone pair of electrons. We should not only consider the bond.